It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Let's get out of here. Aye. Hey everyone, it's Aaron from Got a Minute, the sign of Jonah, and I just find this very comical. I find this very fun. Before I get into this picture, I just wanted to say once again, thank you guys for all your financial support, all your prayers. If you have the gift of giving and you want to support this ministry, I'm at this full time. The links are always in my description box below. You can click more, and there you can find all that. And you can join our Discord where we pray and study every day. In there, there's like 4,000 people in there hanging out, and it's like an electronic church. It's so awesome. And of course, you can leave comments in the comments underneath the video if you're new to this whole YouTube thing. But just thought I'd just direct you in that way if you were so led. And in my video yesterday, in my video section, the first comment says, from I Am Will J, says, the map of America looks like a whale. I'm like, whoa, yeah, wait a second, it does. And I find this picture, and I'm like, yes, this is amazing. This is so exciting. I almost fell out of my chair. Look at this picture. This is so exciting. It's very fun. It's very witty. It's creative. This could be a sign from God. And I think this is wonderful. So I'm going to read you two passages. It says it twice actually in Matthew, which is even more exciting. I'll start with Matthew 12, verse 38. I read this before. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees answered, saying, Teacher, we want to see a sign from you. And again, remember the sign is a aleph and a vav and a tav, which is an aleph and a tav. You're looking at an aleph and a tav over the USA, over this whale. And he answered and said to them, an evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will rise up in the judgment with the generation and condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And indeed, a greater than Jonah is here. But we know that in the story of Jonah, there was likely eclipse, like I mentioned. And like I mentioned, there was a place called Jonah, Texas, a place called Joppa, Texas. There's a place called Gourd, Arkansas, and 7 places or more called Nineveh, pretty much in the path of the 2024 eclipse. Now, Matthew 16 also talks about this again. He mentions the sign of Jonah again. Matthew 16, 1 through 4 says, Then the Pharisees and Sadducees came and testing him asked that he would show them a sign from heaven, from the sky. And he answered and said to them, When it is evening, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and threatening. Hypocrites, you know how to discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation seek after a sign, and no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. And he left them and departed. See you later, alligator, and a wild crocodile. He takes off. Now, if you go back to the book of Jonah, another person commented it in my comment section. I'll have to try and dig it up. But they had mentioned, hey, Aaron, you mentioned Gourd, and the comment said that in Jonah 4, verse 6, it mentioned the gourd plant. In Jonah 4, verse 7, it mentioned the gourd plant. It mentioned it in verse 9, and it mentioned the gourd plant in verse 10, but it did not mention the gourd plant in verse 8. Well, Jonah 4, verse 8, April 8th, what does it say? And it happened when the sun arose, that God prepared a vehement east wind, and the sun beat on Jonah's head, so that he grew faint. Then he wished death for himself and said, It is better for me to die than to live. That is Jonah 4, verse 8. So the gourd is in verse 6 and 7 and 9 and 10, but it is not in verse 8. And what is in verse 8, Jonah 4, 8, it's talking about the sun twice. What does Exodus 4, verse 8 say? 4, verse 8. Equivalent to April 8th. Then it will be, if they do not believe you nor heed the message of the first sign, that they may believe the message of the latter sign. The latter sign on Exodus 4, verse 8. over Little Egypt, where they intersect. Exodus, talking to Pharaoh, let my people go. In Egypt, we have an intersection over Little Egypt in the USA. Exodus 4:8 supports this. Jonah 4:8 supports this. USA looks like a whale. And of course, in the skies, we see an eclipse in the fish. In Pisces over Cetus, which is the whale. Well, isn't this an interesting buildup to the possible return of Christ, the possible rapture of the church, the bride of Christ? Are you ready to get on the ark? Are you ready to fly like the wind? I don't know. I am. I'm tight with Christ. Are you tight with Christ? Do you have a relationship with him? Do you believe in the finished work on the cross that nearly 2,000 years ago? I hope you do, because this is looking really interesting. And, well, one more day, one day closer, seeing the clouds, hopefully very, very soon. Go, Jesus, go. Adios, muchachos.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.